Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
You may not think of it, but winter is a great time to take care of those exterior home projects. This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction. Most people wait until the warmer months for their exterior home projects, but labor costs are actually lowest in the winter. And that's true for the contractor I trust, Snap Construction. Arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation contractor in the metro. Are you noticing ice dams on your house? Or is your furnace constantly running and you're still not comfortable? In addition to your exterior home projects, winter is also a great time to get your insulation checked with a free energy audit from Snap Construction. The average cost to upgrade your insulation is oftentimes less than a new furnace. Plus, there are rebates available from your energy provider when you upgrade your insulation. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. So don't wait for prices to rise in the warmer months. Get a free estimate now by calling 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or go to snapconstruction.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 28, then Wednesday, cloudy with a high of 36.
Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Karagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega, and this portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Well, in the last 6 minutes, since we just talked before the show, Haley, there's Native News Online has breaking news, and it's a federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's freeze on federal funding, including billions in tribal programs funding, just minutes before it was set to take effect. Keep it up, courts. We need you to take care of business and do things in a good way. So I've been in meetings all day discussing this and with our nation and what's going on. And, it's hard not to think, Haley, of bleak thoughts.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know this was the hot topic for a lot of people today. I was honestly pretty concerned with our Native organizations, but I know we have some really smart people in our leadership in our Twin Cities organizations, and hopefully, they're steady enough to get through these next 5 years,
Well,
regardless of what happens.
I guess too, we won't be shopping at Target Boutique anymore to support
Ugh.
our Two Spirit family and just the rotten stuff that's happened. But there's an update, a positive update on that, where the Minnesota Gay Pride Festival kind of severed ties with Target.
Yeah, yeah. So just kind of a little background for maybe non-Minnesota residents, but Target, which is a Minnesota-based company, has willingly cut back their DEI program initiatives following the Trump administration. DEI standing for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Minnesota Pride Festival, which is like one of the biggest ones in the country, has dropped Target as one of their main sponsors, and Target has been sponsoring the Minnesota Pride Festival for the past 18 years. And in good news, the Pride Festival has already made up more than what they would have lost if they were to. Well, I guess they needed to raise $50,000, and as of today, they've raised $71,000, which is amazing. So they will be covered regardless of Target's sponsorship. And they quote, "Every dollar donated goes directly back to helping us create inclusive spaces, support local artists, and provide resources that make a difference year round." And that was coming from the Star Tribune locally here.
Hey, speaking of newspapers, the Milwaukee Journal, I want to read something to us, and I know we got a couple other things to talk about too, Haley, that you've put in the folder, in the Boulder
Ooh,
folder.
hot
But
topics.
yeah, definitely. Hey, Wisconsin tribe. This is from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Sentinel.
Oh, there you
Jeez.
go.
Oh, jeez. Hey, Wisconsin tribal leaders aware of concerns about Trump orders mostly avoid confrontation. Tribal leaders across Wisconsin are issuing statements in response to President Trump's fury of executive orders this last week, especially those affecting Indian country. The most critical reaction so far has come from Ho-Chunk President John Greendeer. "I will not bend or bow, play political games, or accept any threat to any of our tribal members or the families in this ridiculous, irresponsible demonstration of perpetual leadership," or he said in a statement on the evening of January 23rd. "Demonizing human beings of color, of their skin, and the people they love, and the bodies that they choose to make decisions for, or the economic class to which they struggle to break free from, represents something far from the public service embodied in any oath or promise to the people we serve." You know, also, he said later on, he talked about how we're a sovereign nation as opposed to, the DEI efforts. We are, you know, a sovereign nation. We're not a race, and people don't really understand that. And we can get into more of that some other time. But I know one more thing. I hope not to believe we are the target of the president and the forces behind MAGA front steering his decision making. But if we are, and we will hold our ground as long as before this new fury against humankind came to be, Greendeer said. Great words by our president in Wisconsin. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reported today.
Yeah, and that was a statement from the president of the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin, John Greendeer, who
Man.
also put out a really quick statement on Facebook. I think that was a few days back, but that got quite a reach too and was really positive. And I think that's a leadership that we need right now. And hopefully a lot of other tribal leaders will follow that as well.
Yeah, like you were saying, it was like, I think the 23rd where it came out and that blew up. It was all over Facebook, and the Milwaukee newspaper just reported on it. But we saw it, we shared it, and good words, and we've gone through this before. So
yeah. Well, I saw something too on Facebook. It's like our family little diary is Facebook, I feel like. But was there a Ho-Chunk tribal nation that was detained by ICE in northern Wisconsin today?
Yeah, and there was a member, and I shared that on my Facebook. So let me take a quick look. as we're talking here.
Yeah. So, like, this is a good thing to talk about. So, when we think about ICE, immigration, customs, and enforcement, you know, a lot of people think of our southern borders, but Minnesota borders Canada, and we have a lot of tribal nations up north, like Bois Forte, Grand Portage, the whole Duluth area, really the whole area along the Great Lakes. But yeah, I guess a Ho-Chunk tribal nation was detained for nearly
his
20
name,
minutes.
Lance is his name, and I won't give out his last name, but he's a citizen of Ho-Chunk Nation. And he said, yes, I got pulled over this morning. This was 6 hours ago at Osseo, Wisconsin. Yes. Then 2 vehicles of ICE pulled up. Good thing I had carried my Ho-Chunk tribal ID and driver's license. They didn't detain me long, about 20 minutes, but still, you know, because I'm native color, and to be aware, he's just saying be aware, and that's really happening. So it's crazy.
Yeah, carry those tribal IDs on you at all times.
Yeah. Did you see what Jeff put up there today on the 28th?
Yeah, reading this comment, Jeff just posted the 28th of, so today, the Tribal Executive Committee has amended the enrollment ordinance to recognize Red Lake blood for enrollment in the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. Wow, that's the first I'm hearing of that.
Yeah, amazing. And we're doing things that we have to do and to fight back. And so one of the things that, you know, I want to do, Haley, is kind of put my head in the sand, but we have an obligation here, all our listeners, and to keep them abreast of what's happening, and also not take this crap. And so,
yeah,
you know, good conversation in the beginning here. I couldn't say sentinel, but we'll work on that next week. Hey, up next we have Ruth Anna Buffalo, our friend, and we're going to have updates there. And boy, a lot of things going on, and I'm sure she has a lot of things to report to us, and a lot of good things that her organization does. So, hey, we're going to be right back. This is Native Roots Radio, and I'll tell you, we are the resistance experts. Ho!
Ho!
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
A home that needs new everything. Plus the kitchen sink. Life math is complicated. Affinity Plus makes it easier. With great rates on a home equity line of credit, we make tackling home projects less stressful. Visit affinityplus.org/rates to learn more today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go, so making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle winter. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to rudyluthertoyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service schedule to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with MIWRC. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. MIWRC dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to MIWRC on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
Hey, we are back here, and we're with our friend Ruth Anna Buffalo, President and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, and we are really happy to see you. And times are tough right now, Ruth. Welcome.
Oh, no, I don't know where she went.
Oh, there she is. She's on the phone. She's on the bat phone, so she's got things that she's got to take care of first here. But
sure.
while we have Ruth on hold here, we have a little more to talk about and be fired up about here.
Yeah. Well, there's some good news that came out for us natives today.
Yeah, the Academy Awards.
Yeah, that's super
Am I
cool.
going to win the honorary one this year?
I don't know. Did you put out a film? I didn't know that you did.
I thought it'd be acting or something.
Oh,
No.
I didn't know. Okay. Well, no, this is Sugarcane. Have you seen this documentary? It's on Hulu.
No.
Okay. I have seen previews for it and it looks amazing. It's about, so Sugarcane is on Hulu currently. It's a documentary that investigates the abuse and missing children at an Indian residential school, which sparks reckoning on the nearby Sugarcane Reserve, basically. And today it was announced that Sugarcane's director, Julian Brave Noisecat, is officially the first Academy Award nominated North American Indigenous filmmaker in the Oscars' 97-year history.
Wow.
I know, 97 years.
Wow. And let's bring Ruth on here. Ruth, welcome. And busy person, and there's a lot going on, especially a lot going on with nonprofits. Today I've been in meetings all day discussing this with my tribe, and I know there's things in the forefront of your organization, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and thank you for spending some time with us. I know you're really busy.
Yeah, no problem. Dosha, Madzigidads, thank you for having me. Hello, and thank you.
Yes. So we reported that there's a judge out there that has put a hold on all this nonprofit stuff here just about 5-6 minutes ago, and on Trump's attack on brown people across this across the country here, and so we're really concerned. But hopefully that can put a pause to what he's trying to do.
Yes, for sure. I think there's always that avenue, from what I've been told too, is like in the courts, and having served a 4-year term in the state legislature in North Dakota and seeing a lot of the harmful bills get pumped out of there definitely is action in the courts, whether it's for voting rights or trans rights or reproductive freedoms as well. So just really encourage everyone to take care of themselves, take time for yourself, do what you need to stay grounded so that you can not harm others as well. It's like critically important that we take care of ourselves and that we stay centered for one another, because it's high intense times. But nothing that we haven't, experienced before, that our, as they say, our ancestors haven't and have experienced before, but we're, different times, different levels and things. But yeah, I would say really take care of yourself so that way you can be kind and helpful to others as well.
Yeah, I like it too that you kind of say take care of yourself too, because I go back and forth from really being upset to need to talk it out, and things are happening so fast, and we've got to be careful too of the rumors that are going on, and because this is again something that's not new to us, Ruth, but Ruth Anna, but we do have to remind ourselves on some good thoughts and good actions.
For sure, stay in prayer, stay rooted in prayer, stay grounded, but yeah, still be action oriented. But yeah, I think that's just so important to even pause get out of the city, get into nature, stand by the river, something, breathe. Because I think all of us carry so much in our own unique ways, and there's no room for, jealousy or tearing one another down, or, we got to be happy for one another. Whether it's a small victory, a moral victory, something, it's critically important to be good to one another, because we don't know what the next person is carrying, and
Right.
so, yeah.
Well, that's good advice. And today I got to get my 10,000 steps in early in the morning. Like I haven't been able to do that, and I don't know how bleak I would have been if I didn't do that. So good advice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's basketball league game, but it's just I'm trying to juggle a lot right now. It's just me and the twins during the week, and so the schedules, and I was on the phone with a after school program that that I can use before and after school, so yeah, just trying to factor that in. But this week and last week it's been going on the fly, because my oldest is away at school going for her BFA, Bachelor's of Fine Arts, and she's majoring in studio arts, so we're super proud of her, but also at the same time on high alert because of the different changes at the federal level of who's being targeted. And so also pushing for accountability from a mom angle, of encouraging people to hold our elected officials accountable, because there's unintended consequences for who you vote for, and whether they were intentional or not. Our children shouldn't have to suffer as a result. As we can go on and on about the war and the damages there too, but being a mom with my firstborn being away from college for the first time out of state is really a little bit nerve-wracking, to say the least. But
Right.
we're confident she'll do fine, but it's just we're in sort of interesting times right now. So
Yeah, really good point. And I want to remind you, as myself being a former athlete, is to stretch before you play.
definitely, yeah. If I sit too long in one place, it's so embarrassing to have to get up and try to be flat-footed until you can tell the joints get moving a little. So yeah.
Well, wait until you're my age. What am I, 63 or 64? I can't remember. Somewhere up there, Haley.
Yeah, somewhere. You can't remember.
Old, I can't remember. I started counting, but stop counting. Yeah, and we do have to pray for our relatives out there. And we reported too that a friend of ours, an enrolled citizen in Ho Chunk, was pulled over by ICE, and these are things that are happening. So it is nerve-wracking time. It really is. But we don't want to overstep that too. And prayers to your daughter. Where is she now?
Oh, I was trying not to share. I don't think I've even shared on.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
Security purposes, but yeah, she's a few states away. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no worries. She's where.
I know she went here for a while.
Huh? What's that?
I know she went here for a while. That's.
Yeah. Yep. She got her her associates from M State Tech and Community College, Moorhead, Minnesota. Her generals, and then she's working on her 4-year degree. But I have relatives near where she's at, and friends and stuff. So it's good. She got to spend the weekend with one of my uncles and my nephew, and then but yeah, yesterday morning one of my uncles from back home on the res in Mandaree called, and he was saying, make sure Maya has her birth certificate and all these things on her. He's like, I'm watching the news right now. So it's just kind of I think it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. We have to try to be proactive, but not reactive at the same time, but be smart about things, and above all else, be good to one another, because there's bigger things that we all gotta pay attention to, and no time for trying to play petty politics, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no, I get it. Definitely. Before we let you go here, we got a couple more minutes. I definitely want to talk about your organization and also how people right now, with the way things are unsettling, can really support your organization. And I'm wondering if we could go through that. I like going through that every time we talk because it helps and people want to help.
Yes, and we're so very grateful for all of the support, continued support over the years. Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center just celebrated 40 years of existence this past September 16th. And we're looking forward to many more years to come. If you want to donate, please go to MIWRC.org. You'll find the big donate tab front and center. We, have supported the work that's happening on the ground. We really appreciate, grassroots effort, the people's voice that needs to be front and center. And so we're thankful for all of our community partners. We're thankful for MUD, Metro Urban Indian Directors Group. We're thankful for every level of government that has provided support, because ultimately the work that's being done at MIWRC is to prevent further tragedies from happening, whether it's keeping families together, whether it's helping our relatives live a good, healthy, long life like the next person. Our life expectancies are so low. And we also are, key and instrumental in preventing missing and murdered Indigenous relatives cases. So thank you so much. Madzigidads.
Great to see you, Ruth, and have a great week, and keep that chin up. And thank you so much, Big Peeny for all the positive reinforcement in this segment. Really, it means a lot to us. All right, we'll see you, Ruth. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950. Support for Native Roots Radio comes from the Walker Art Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including Indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds, Cheyenne and Arapaho Nation, and Jin Demini, Ojibwe. Additionally, films screen in the cinema, and performances are shown on stage. Free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Again, that's walkerart.org.
Hello, everyone. This is Becky McNatten
and Tara Martini,
hosts of Feels Out Loud.
Join us this Sunday as we process through compassionate curiosity. We'll look at what this is, how to practice it, and share stories about how our lives change when we commit to a curiosity framework. We also want to hear your questions about compassionate curiosity. Email us at comment@am950radio.com, and we may share your questions on the show.
This Sunday, grab your coffee, find a comfortable spot, and tune in at 9 a.m. to live and share mental health with us together.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Since 2012, we've been your go-to dining spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis. Indulge in classics like our scallops, steak tartare, Nightingale burger, and the irresistible chocolate pot de creme. Chef Carrie keeps it fresh with seasonal dishes. We have craft cocktails and curated wines for anyone's taste. And Mondays mean half-price wine bottles. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
Warm up your winter with Next Chapter Booksellers. Imagine chilly weather, a comfy blanket, and a captivating book. Reading in cold weather isn't just cozy, it's an experience, and Next Chapter Booksellers has all the bestsellers and new releases. Let a friendly bookseller guide you to the perfect winter read, because nothing beats getting lost in a book as the snow falls outside. So embrace the cold weather with a great book in hand from Next Chapter Booksellers, located off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul, and at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation.
Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 28, then Wednesday, cloudy with a high of 36. Caleb Heron brings his So True tour to the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Sunday, March 9th. One of America's top gay comedians. Don't miss out on this great night of sharp humor and big laughs. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Governor Walz. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Historical Society, preserving and sharing Minnesota's heritage for the benefit of all Minnesotans.
Yes, they do. Hey, we're here with our friend Rita Arndt, and she's program and outreach manager with the Native American initiatives at the Minnesota Historical Society. Hey, thanks for coming back for another week to hang out with us. Oh, wow.
Hello, Robert. Hello, Haley. How are you both doing?
Doing good. Besides all the turmoil with the nonprofits and what's going on here, and I was mentioning to Ruth Anna Buffalo in the last segment is that, boy, we're on high alert here in my tribe because a lot of our funding comes from the government, whether it's medical or roads and things like that our nation deals with in Wisconsin and all over Turtle Island. So it's kind of a nerve-wracking time to be alive, but we want to speak on this and let our listeners know what's going on, and great to see you.
Yeah, I have similar sentiments. There is stuff going on in my tribe too. So I'm very nervous. Like I'm nervous. I think a lot of us are nervous, and it's thankfully we do have our sovereignty to really hopefully rely on, and it's just figuring out how, if our ancestors did it, I think we can do it too.
Yeah, good one. No, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that we have to keep in the forefront. It's not, Ho Chunk, for instance, went through many a trail of tears being removed 6 or 7 times. And our ancestors are still alive. And along with, the Ojibwe and the Dakota and all the people here in Minnesota and the 5-state area. So that's something to really remember.
I think something that also what I found out is after the Ho Chunk is that the Menominee were also moved around into Minnesota around that same time. And I'm like, what? Because I don't think about Menominee when I think of Minnesota. So really thinking about how the government really did, do a lot of stuff with our relatives over the years and what that looked like, but we've still persevered and we're here as evidence of that today. So trying to hold on to that and think about that during these hard times.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things before we've talked over the years is I loved going on the website and look up things. And just off subject here, I marched in a drum and bugle corps when I was young, and I would look up things like that. And Minnesota Historical Society would have pictures, and I saw myself when I was little, but also the great collection. You can look up names and things like that. And can we talk a little bit about that? I don't think we've ever really talked much about the search engine that you guys have.
No, and it's really, there's a lot going on. It's like the Historical Society, we have obviously a lot of stuff related to Minnesota history, but we are also the repository for the state archives, local government archives too. So think of counties, cities, stuff like that for those records. We have what's called a people finder. So if you're trying to look, it's very Minnesota centric, but that's hence the name. But it does, you can put in where people were living, and you can just put in, I think at this point it's only up to my grandparents. So through the 50s or 60s that you can go in to look to see, get more information about them. So we have so many resources if you're wanting to learn more about your family, or say you wanted to know more about where you live. We have a lot of people who do research on land and building history. And there's a lot of information that we have access to be able to do that.
It's really interesting, and I think we've talked about this before, but I know I've talked to Robert Lilligren about this. But
Mm.
main roads like Snelling Avenue is originally native. I don't want to say roads, but native paths
Mhm.
that were used at now became roads. That's correct, right? There's a lot of that in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I'm just working on a project about the fur trade. And we were talking about how many of the routes that were utilized during the fur trade were these old trade routes that our indigenous ancestors used, and they helped inform today's highways and other systems of way to travel as too. So there's a reason why the roads aren't as straight as they are. They you think they would be is because it is going around certain paths and everything and what made sense at the time. So there's a lot of indigenous knowledge just sprinkled throughout our everyday life.
Yeah, and back to what we were talking about, the resource,
Mhm.
you can research your family and, access some, and I know I have over the years, but the library is called the Gale Family Library. Is that, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that library is located at the History Center, which I'll remind everybody is in St. Paul on 345 West Kellogg Boulevard. It is open to the public. It is a non-circulating library. However, the librarians there are very helpful, and you can make copies and all kinds of stuff if there's things you need. It's open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They like appointments, but that's not necessary. But if you do let them know what you're researching beforehand, then they can help you figure that out. Another cool thing is if you are really wanting to dive deep into some of those subscription services like ancestry.com or newspapers.com, we have an in-house subscription that you can use for free in that library too. And I think
Wow.
that's a huge resource for people so that they don't have to spend that pricey subscription. Subscription fees have been getting insane as of late. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, could I download it on a thumb drive, some, article I'm looking for? Or is it printable, or how do
you
we?
should. There are multiple ways to be able to save it, and they can help you with that too. Because still one of the largely utilized parts of our collection is the microfilm, and I don't know how many people nowadays are used to microfilm, but that's a lot of the newspapers and the census
Yeah.
records. So they're very highly used, and now that's becoming more, into the 21st century where you can download the images from those and really then send them to an email or other things like that.
Well, that was our internet when I was a kid, was going to the library and look up things in the newspaper on that microfiche, right?
Yeah. And it is something that museums all and archives across the United States still utilize today. And I think it's what's really neat is that we do have some of those local and tribal newspapers that are also digitized in that fashion so that people can access those through there too. If you wanted to see what was going on in your great grandpa's time and see what
Yeah.
was the news of the week.
Yeah, definitely, or what happened the day you were born if you're, like, a egocentric person like myself. Um, but, hey, we heard that, there was an update to our home exhibit. Can you tell us a little bit, the listeners a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, I mentioned it last time, but I'll remind again because there's actually going to be a couple stories coming out this week through NPR and the Pioneer Press. I just did some interviews today, no big deal. But we have a new update in
We
our
just
home.
scooped them. We're scooping them. Oh,
I
wow.
know. Just getting friends everywhere. So our home native Minnesota just celebrated its 5 years, and it was time for a refresh. It's nice to be able to change it up so people give people a reason to come back. And we have worked with Cole Red Horse Taylor, who is a citizen of the Prairie Island Indian community, over the years he's participated in a couple of our program, the Museum Fellows program for one, but also he was one of our Native American artists in residence. And we've been working with him, like developing that relationship since. And it was really great. So Cole came today to the History Center and also was interviewed and got to see the case for the first time. So it includes a hockey mask that he made for the Minnesota Wild that MNHS bid on, and the funding for that went to the American Indian Family Center. It has some of his ledger drawings. He does some of that old style ledger drawing. And what was really great is the one that we have out as responsive to COVID. So it has just figures and masks and everything. And we have just a pair of his moccasins, because when he was artist in residence, he studied pucker toe moccasins, especially related to Dakota communities. And he did workshops in each of the 4 Dakota communities in Minnesota. And so we have a pair of those moccasins too. And so he's excited to see those, because it's been a minute since he's seen the pieces. So he's just really excited to see them and talk about them.
Wow, that's awesome. Hey, and I know I want to ask you too, have all the spots been filled yet for the teen program, Reconnecting Our Roots?
I believe so. I was like, I know they're doing interviews this week. They got a lot more applications, which is exciting, and they're just coordinating interviews right now, because that should start in a couple of weeks, which will be exciting.
Wow, that's great news. And I think broadcasting that on Native Roots Radio really helped. Oh, wow.
I hope so, and I look forward to seeing even better with our we're getting our advertisements. So then I hope our summer session is super duper.
Right on. Hey, so one of the things the Minnesota Historical Society has started a podcast called Minnesota Unraveled. Where can we find that?
On anywhere that you get your podcast. Somebody asked today, and I was like, well, what do you mean? Where do you find it? I just have Spotify. But wherever you can find it, I believe there is a link to places from our website. And so it's really, it's an interesting podcast. They just had their bison one, and I'm about to review one about Paul Bunyan that's coming out soon, because we have Casey Keeler talking about when it comes to Paul Bunyan and how it relates to Indigenous history of Minnesota. And so I'm like, I think that's really fun, because it's like, it is something that, we don't really talk about that much as a larger community. And I think it's time.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like to, there's a couple Anishinaabe stories about them, and I know there must be some Dakota, but I've seen some paintings with them, and so it'll be interesting to hear that what the whole story is behind that. That's so you can get that on and it's called Minnesota Unraveled, and you can get that in, I'm sure, iTunes and Spotify and all your groovy connections, the same ones you can hear Native Roots Radio on. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, so I'm really excited for that one to come out, and I really hope, because we have an image of Wayna Boozhoo smacking Paul Bunyan with a walleye, and I really hope as one of the Wayna Boozhoo stories. So I really hope they included that.
That's awesome. Hey, we're here with Rita Arndt, and can we get you on the next segment? I got a couple more questions to grill you on.
Great.
All right, great. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with our friend Rita Arndt, Program and Outreach Manager with the Native American Initiatives at the Minnesota Historical Society, and we'll be right back.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called MIWRC's Real Roast Beef. MIWRC's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. MIWRC's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, MIWRCsbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
Hey, it's Freddie Bell, host of New Beginnings, designed for those of us more seasoned, I'll say, with informative talk on everything from health, finance, local and regional news, volunteerism, spirituality, and even a bit of humor tossed in. So if you're proud to be a more seasoned listener, tune in to New Beginnings Sunday afternoons at 1 right here on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. How?
Oh! Ooh. Ooh. That sounded only like two wolves.
I know. I was like, maybe someday I'll do it.
Oh. Awesome. Hey, we're here with Rita Arndt, and she's program and outreach manager with Native American initiatives at the Minnesota Historical Society. And I always have to do that. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, Rita, but I have to take a quick breath in between that intro.
I have a long title, and it doesn't help that my name is long too, because I decided to keep my family name and then add my husband's name, and then our department name is long. Also, it's very hard to spell initiatives as well as indigenous, so I'm glad it's not indigenous initiatives, because I would be in a lot of trouble.
You would be. That's Kaylee.
Robert would be.
I think we'd be canceled.
We'd have to pre-record it and play it every time.
Yeah, to listen to it on the phone before I come on. Hey, so again, we were talking about the Minnesota Historical Society podcast. There's another chance, Enduring Connections, Native Community and Basketball, that's coming up too, I do believe. And there's some really cool people that have been on the show that are being interviewed.
Yeah, Sid Bean is on there, which he's always great to talk to. So I'm so glad that they got him, because he is like one of the OG res ballers. So to really think about that. And then, yeah, Brooke LaFleur. And so I'm glad that they're really highlighting these types of things, and it's so timely with that Netflix show as well. So it's just like a great thing to just bring up and talk about how our communities come together in different ways, and how even in places like the boarding school system, where sometimes these teams came out of, but it became like a good healing part of those spaces.
Yeah, and geez, I know basketball, softball in the Twin Cities and St. Paul was you have pictures of it too, but it was just huge in the 70s and 60s. My uncles were playing and played it way into their 40s and 50s, and it just built, like you said, built community.
Yeah, I remember as a little kid going to my aunts and uncles' softball games in Minneapolis. So I remember, I don't know, I was there. I was like, this is fun. I want to do this. So I was like, we need to start doing this a little more. I feel like I know some of it does happen, but sometimes we get busy. And then also I'm kind of scared of some of the athletes, because we got some real, I don't want to say they're rugged, but they're hardcore athletes of the ones who play lacrosse and basketball. And so they're like, come play with us. And I'm like,
yeah, it gets physical.
Yeah.
Well, I think Haley and I are going to start a pickleball league here, and I'm going to have to bandage up my knees to be able to do that.
Your knees, your hips, everything.
Yeah. Exactly. A sacred. I'll get a little eagle feather on my handle there, and
Yeah, we could beat it.
yeah, it could be exactly, exactly. So yeah, so what have been some of your favorite exhibits over the years that and your favorite artists that have really stood out without making anyone feel bad that's listening to the show?
Just kidding. I was like feeling bad. I was like, I like all the artists equally. I really think Jessica Goki, she's a Ojibwe, she's from Lakudere in Wisconsin, but she's been making more of a presence in the Twin Cities area. Her beadwork is so impressive, and the way that she does like the interest whatever intricate. It is intricate. I can't speak, but it's so
I'm
detailed.
rubbing off on you.
Yeah, but she can get colors and shades and everything, and she does one bead at a time, and I'm always really astounded by that as somebody who beads. I don't have that kind of patience. And also she teaches. So I've been able to she wants to share beading with everybody. So she'll do online classes. She's happy to come with anybody. And I have her books that she had a binder when she first was starting, and now she's like made it into a book to really share the, just design elements, techniques, et cetera, even just down to what to buy and where.
It's interesting that you bring her up because I messaged her maybe a year ago on Facebook, and she did a fish that was about 3 or 4 feet long, and I saw the picture and I said, "This can't be beaded." So I messaged her and I said, "Is this a painting or beaded?" And she said, "It's beaded." It was like amazing.
Yeah, one of the pieces we have that's in our home native Minnesota is about indigenous plants and thinking about food and medicines. And there's over 20 plants depicted, but they look like the actual plant with beadwork. And I know we do a lot of stylization in our beadworks and stuff, but it was so amazing. And I still can't believe it when I see it. You can easily identify the plants. And I just think that's so neat.
Wow, that is amazing. We'll have to get her on. She's not related to Pam Goki, is she?
That is her aunt, so she most definitely is.
Oh my gosh, small
That's
world.
what I thought too.
Yeah, and we love Pam. So let's just talk about. We got a couple minutes here left, and I want to just bring up the fact that there's certain days that you can go to the Minnesota Historical Society and get in for free. Let's talk about that, and then
Yeah.
what days and what they can see and what they can do.
Yeah, Thursday nights are our free night. So, and we're open until 8 p.m. And so bring your family and everybody to go see the exhibits. You can see our home native Minnesota. That's always going to be up for a while. We have Reframing Our Stories, and then we have the girlhood exhibit that has some indigenous focus on basketball with Brooke LaFleur, which I know we've talked about. And then there's a teepee that you can there's some interactions with Bobby Wilson in there, so it's really funny and kids really enjoy that. And there's like all kinds of different beadwork and everything out there so everything for a family to enjoy. So there's things for grandpa, things for the little kids, and everybody in between.
That's awesome. And the address is 345 West Kellogg Boulevard, right up on top of the hill. You can great view of the Capitol, and you can I think you can still look down and see the city from there, right?
Yeah, depending on which way you're looking, but it is a nice view of the city since you're on top of the hill, so you get to see all the cool stuff.
Right on. Well, we really appreciate you stopping in, and wow, Haley, we just went through a lot of information there in the segment,
yeah.
2 segments. And Rita, we really appreciate coming in and stopping in and letting our community know about all these great things that are happening down at the Minnesota Historical Society.
Yeah, thank you once again for having me, Miigwech.
Right on. We'll see you in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Okay.
If the river don't rise, and the old saying, I can't.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, that's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Well, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Take care, Rita.
Bye.
See you.
Oh, I love that.
That was awesome. She's great. Love having her on. And
The Unraveling Minnesota podcast, definitely check that out. That last one that they posted, I think was on the 23rd of this month. And it talks about like the community connections of Native basketball. And I
yeah,
think that's always such an interesting story that isn't told enough.
right. And we kind of circled around that a little bit. All the sports too, but basketball especially
Yeah.
because it's year round and you can play in the gym or outside. And
Yeah, easily accessible. And, everyone can
my
play if you got a basketball.
when I play basketball, I think about how my thumb hurts. But hey,
Oh.
if you're listening to this show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on. It's sacred ground. It's the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote. We're still here. We are the 7th generation. And this has been Native Roots Radio.
Mi